Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we have our O-rings for the bottom of the cylinder sleeves. If you happen to be working on one of these old 700s, 800s, here's what you need. You'll need 8 of them. They're very cheap, 2 on the bottom of each liner. So getting right into it here, I'm going to take these over to the wash tank, pick the old seals out, and give these things a washing. There, so we got all the sleeves cleaned up. This one here, this is cylinder number 1. This is actually the best. It's still got a nice surface to it. Nice square grooved ring lining holes. Everything is nice there. The one issue, not a really big issue, is number 3. I don't know if you can see this. There is some rusting here. I'm not sure why number 3 is like this. Number 2's got a little bit as well, but number 3 is the worst. There's a little bit of a scale here. I can almost scrape this off. And in one spot, where is it at? Right here, there's a big chunk of rust, and I can feel there's going to be a divot there. It is the top ring, so I think it'll be okay. But I am going to take this to the wire wheel, a steel wheel. I'm not going to get aggressive on it or anything, but I'm just going to run it quickly right around. We'll actually end up going to do it on all 4, but mainly on number 2 and number 3. I'm going to run it quickly on the wire wheel just to clean that edge up, and then I'll use a pick and a scraper to get that square edge as clean as I can. It didn't take much. But as you can see, this is that bad spot. Once I cleaned it up, there's just a little bit of pitting here. Right on this edge. Right, not the whole way around, just one side. I find it strange that the other ones are so clean, and just this one sleeve just got this pitting. But it did clean up nice, and actually it made a nice square groove here in the corner once I cleaned up that crap, which is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to run the other 3 through the wire wheel quickly, and then we'll pick that edge. There we go. All our sleeves are cleaned. All the rust picked out of the grooves. We got them all numbered. 1, 2, 3, and 4, so they're not getting mixed up. Because we are going to send these to a machine shop here in town. And they are going to check the roundness of them. I think the manual says I'm allowed to be 0.005 out of round. So they're going to mic them for me. And hopefully they're all good. All right, those cylinders are gone. Our cylinder sleeves are gone. So while we're waiting for them to come back, we are going to clean the inside of this thing. So now that it's all dried up, because it's been sitting here for a week, it's going to be easy to get a vacuum in here to vacuum out this crud. But I don't know if you can see it. Where's that? This got to be a 1/4 inch thick. Look at this. Look at that. Look how much sludge. Let's see if I can get this out of here. Oh, no, it's all breaking up. Oh, I'm getting it down on the journal as well. Anyway, it's going to be about a 1/4 inch of sludge after this dried up. And so, but it is nice and dry, so I can get in there with a vacuum. So I'm going to run some rags in there, cover up the journals on the crank, get a vacuum cleaner in there, and suck out all that junk. That looks much better down in there. Much better. So now my next goal is to clean out, oh, there we go, clean out this seat here where the cylinder sleeve recessed down in. So we're going to get a brass wheel, go in this edge here, clean it up good. Then we'll get our pick and grab the edge really nice as well too to make sure that there's nothing left in there. Do all 4 of those, and then move down to the bottom of the sleeve, right down here. This is where the O-rings seal. So keep the oil on the bottom, the water on the top. So we're gonna run maybe just a light piece of emery cloth around those to clean them up. Make sure we're gonna get a good seal. Make sure there's no big pits or anything in them that may cause seal the leak. And then hopefully by that time, my sleeves will be ready to pick up. Cleaning those out took a little longer than expected, but got a nice clean edge. You kind of see down there, got a nice clean edge where the cylinder sleeve seals are going to go. I gave this a quick vacuum out and a blow down just to get the main pieces out of there of dirt. Once this goes back together, we'll do a full radiator flush. And also we'll run the engine for a bit, drain all the oil, fill it again, maybe even do it a second time, just to make sure there's no particles down in there. I do have the journals covered with rags, but there's still bits, little bits of dust that stick to the oil that's on the crank. So it'll be wiped down as best I can. And then, like I said, we'll change the oil a few times before the final run. But I'm going to head over and see if my cylinder sleeves are ready. So everything turned out good. In the manual, it did state that 0.005 was the most I could be out of round. So we're all on the 002s and 3s. Now there is this little plus and minus, so that means that this was just a hair over 002, but not enough to call it 003. And the same thing on the other side, 003, a little under, but not enough to call it 002. So I guess maybe their tools aren't accurate enough to read 4 decimal places. But that's what they are anyway. So everything's within tolerance. So now it's time to put seals on. So now we're ready to put the O-rings on. There's nothing special about this. Our grooves are clean, free of dirt. One thing we do got to watch though, on the O-rings is a little dot, little white dot. That's so when you install these, you got to make sure that your O-ring isn't twisted or rolled over. This is the outside edge. You want to make sure it's not rolled over to the inside edge. So you get a perfect circle with no kinks in it. So that is something we got to keep an eye on. So we're more or less stretching this O-ring on just a little bit. We're not rolling it on. If we roll it on, we run the risk of it being, wrapped around. So we just kind of stretch it on. There it is there, our dot's out. You can feel we're just past the edge. So I'm going to carry on as the first one. 8 more to go. We'll get them all installed. So now comes the moment of truth. We get everything clean on the sleeves. Everything's clean in the engine. The only thing left to do now is put just a very light rub of grease right around the O-rings, just to make them slide in a little better. I've double checked these rings. They're not twisted or turned. Everything is good. We'll put just a hair of grease around the very edge of this ring as well too. That would be the very top of the sleeve, just where it sits down in. When I took these out as well, they did spin. I had to hold them from spinning, because that's one thing that Case recommends checking, to make sure that the sleeve itself spins inside the block. Everything's good there. So we're going to give the engine just one more wipe down on the very bottom where these rings will seat. One at the top. I've never done this before, but they say you should never have to force them in. They should be able to be pressed in by hand. Now, I highly doubt that from what I read online, but I do have a rubber mallet that I can give a nice little gentle tap, because I can't imagine these seating themselves down fully by hand, but you never know. So, moment of truth. Let's get these things back in. There we go. Clean as she's gonna get. Slide in cylinder number 1. Sleeve number 1, I guess. Yeah, just gonna require the rubber mallet a little gently, I think. Awesome. 3 left to go. There we go. All sleeves seated nicely. They did require a little tapping with the rubber mallet to go in. But hey, it's a 60-year-old tractor. What are you going to do? Anyway, I'm happy with that. They're back in. Now comes the joy of honing these things. I've never honed an engine before like this. I do have a loan of a honer. Manual says honing stones should be 180 to 220 grit. I have 200 grit honing stones. So we are going to get a drill and give it a go. So this will be the engine hone that we're using today. It's fairly new, so I don't think I have to worry too much about the stones. That's it there. We're just going to be putting it in a drill, and before we hone the engine, we're going to run a little bit of motor oil down the cylinder sleeves. Just going to put it on a rag and rub it in there pretty good. It'll help with the cutting or the latching of the cylinder sleeves, and also it'll make it so there's not a bunch of dust that's going down on top of the crank. Now, I do have the journal still covered on the crank, and everything will be washed out and wiped out good once the honing and everything else is done. So let's get up there and give her a try. So we're just dumping some oil on a rag here. Gonna lube these cylinder sleeves up a little. Nice little layer on there. It says you don't need a whole lot. Woo, that's a lot. I don't think any engine's been hurt with too much oil being rubbed on it. All right. Now let's put that hone in there, see what happens. So what we're doing here is we're just trying to take the glaze off the inside of these cylinders, just from the old piston rings, as we will be putting new rings on it. So we're not trying to really take away any material. We're just trying to give it some new grooves, as they call it. I think they call it cross hatching. Just so when the new rings go in and they seat themselves for the first time, that they'll make a good seal. So we just got the drill. We're going to go at a slow, kind of a medium pace on it. We're not looking, like I said, not looking to sand it down. Slow pace and just slowly up and down the cylinder till we get that shine off it. So we'll give her a go here and see what happens. So, cylinders are honed. Now I just gave them a quick wipe down to get the main oil and main dust out of them. But they will get a real good cleaning with some brake clean and wipe down. But I'm going to leave it here at the moment because we don't have any piston rings yet. This thing's going to be sitting for another week or so. It might actually be sitting for 2 weeks. I think I'm taking next week off from tractor videos. Get some other stuff I got to get done. That requires a full weekend. But it was a great success getting these sleeves back in and cleaned up. I think things are going well. So the next step will be to clean these pistons up. I did pull out one set of rings just to see what they look like, and I've decided that I will pull the wrist pin out and clean up the top of that piston really good. Just will help not having the rod flapping around while I'm doing it. We'll get the ring grooves cleaned out, tops of pistons cleaned off, and the very top edge of where the combustion burns the piston up a bit. But anyway, that concludes this video. As always, thanks for watching. And if it's your first time here, why not subscribe? Give a like on all the videos. Makes me feel better and I can sleep good at night. Anyway, catch you again.